kitchen's awful hot. What, Essie? I say, the kitchen's awful hot. That new candy I'm making, it just won't ever get cool.
Do you have to make candy today, Essie? It's such a hot day.
Well, I got all those new orders. Edwin and I got a bunch of new orders.
My, if it keeps on, I suppose you'll be opening up a store.
That's what I was saying last night, but I said no. I want to be a dancer.
The only trouble with dancing is, it takes so long. You've been studying such a long time.
Only 8 years. After all, Mother, you've been writing plays for 8 years. We started about the same time, didn't we?
Yes, but you shouldn't count my first 2 years because I was learning to type. I think the candy's hard enough now.
Oh, thanks, Reba. I'll bring some in, Mother. I want you to try it.
Finish the second act, Miss Sycamore? What? I said, did you finish the second act? No, I thought Cynthia entering the monastery. She was at the Kit Kat, wasn't she? Yes, but she gets tired at the Kit Kat Club, and there's this monastery, so she goes there. Oh. So, she arrives on Visitor's Day, and just stays. You mean she stays all night? Oh, yes, she stays 6 years. 6 years? My, I bet she busts that monastery wide open. 6 years later.
Mr. DePinna?
Yeah?
Mr. DePinna, will you bring up one of those new skyrockets, please? I want to show one to Miss Sycamore.
Sure.
Look, Penny. What do you think of these little firecrackers we just made? We can sell them 10 strings for a cent. Listen. Nice, huh?
Yes. Paul, dear, were you ever in a monastery?
No, I wasn't. Wait till you see the new fireworks. Gold stars, then blue stars, then bombs, then a balloon. Mr. DePinna thought of the balloon.
Sounds lovely. Did you do all that today?
Sure, we made up... Oh, here we are. Look, cost us 18 cents to make. We could sell them for 50. How many you figure we can make before the 4th of July, Mr. DePinna?
Well, we've got 2 weeks left. What day we take yourself up to Mount Vernon?
I think about a week. You know, we're going to need a larger booth this year. Got a lot of stuff made up.
Look, Mr. Sycamore, I'm afraid the balloon is a little too close to the powder chamber.
Well, we got the stars and the bombs in between.
But that does not give the balloon enough time. A balloon needs plenty of time.
Come on. Let's go down in the cellar and try it.
Oh, all right.
Mr. DePinna, if a girl you loved entered a monastery, what would you do?
Oh, I don't know. It's been so long.
Miss Alice going to be home to dinner tonight, Miss Sycamore?
I don't know, Reba. Maybe.
Well, I'll set a place for her, but she's only been home one night this week.
Yes, I know.
Miss Essie's making some mighty good candy today. She's doing something new with coconuts.
Uh-huh, that's nice.
Let's see, 6 and Mr. DePinna, and if Mr. Kalinkoff comes, that makes 8, don't it? Yes, I better set for 8.
Reba, I think I'll put this play away for a while and go back to my war play.
Oh, I always liked that one. The war play? Boom, boom.
They'll be better when they're harder, Mother, but try one. I want to know what you think.
Oh, they look lovely. What do you call them?
I think I'll call them Love Dreams.
Yes, that's nice. Essie, I believe I'll go back to my war play. What do you think?
Oh, are you, Mother?
Yes, I sort of got myself stuck in a monastery and I can't get out.
Oh, well, it'll come to you. Remember how you got out of that brothel? The snakes look hungry. Did Reba feed them?
I don't know. Reba, did you feed the snakes yet?
No, Donald's coming, and he always brings flies with him.
Well, try to feed them before Grandpa gets home. You know how fussy he gets about them.
Yes, ma'am.
I believe I'll have another love dream.
Mr. DePinna was right about the balloon. It was too close to the powder.
Want a love dream, Father?
No thanks. I gotta wash.
I'm going back to my war play, Paul.
Oh, that's nice. I think we'll put some red stars after the bombs, and then the balloon. That ought to do it.
You know, Mr. Kalinkoff says I'm his most promising pupil.
Oh, you'd think with 40 monks and 1 girl that something would happen.
Essie. Hey, Essie.
I like that, Ed. Did you write it?
No, Beethoven.
Lovely. Got a lot of you in it. I made those new candies this afternoon, Ed.
Yeah?
You can take them around tonight.
All right, here's the finish. This is me. How's that?
Fine, Ed. Remember it when Kalinkoff comes, will you?
Ed, dear, why don't you and Essie have a baby? I was just thinking about it the other day.
I don't know. We could if you wanted us to. How about it, Essie? Do you want to have a baby?
Oh, I don't care. I'm willing if Grandpa is.
Let's ask him.
Labor play, religious play, sex play. Oh, I know it's here someplace.
I was right about the balloon. It was too close to the powder chamber.
Anything printed, Mr. DePina? How about some more calling cards?
No thanks. I still got the first 1,000.
Well, call on somebody, will ya?
Oh, all right.
What's for dinner, Reba? I'm ready to print the menu.
Let's see. Cornflakes, watermelon, some of these candies Miss Essie made, and some kind of meat. I forget.
I think I'll set it up in bold-faced Cheltenham. Now I'm going to print some of those descriptive matter after dinner.
Do you think anybody reads those things, Ed, that you put in the candy boxes? Oh, here's the war play. Poison gas. Oh, that must be Donald. Oh, look at Reba's smile.
The boyfriend, eh, Reba?
Oh, they're awfully cute, Donald and Reba. Sort of like Scarlet and Rhett.
Hello, Reba.
Donald!
Evening, everybody.
Hi, Donald. How have you been?
Pretty good, Mr. Ed. How you been, Miss Sycamore?
Very well, thanks. Donald,
Yes, ma'am?
were you ever in a monastery?
No, I don't go no place much. I'm on relief.
Yes, of course.
Here are the flies, Reba. Got a big mess of them today.
You sure did.
I see you've been working, Miss Sycamore.
Yes, indeed, Donald.
How's Grandpa?
Just fine. He's over at Columbia this afternoon. The commencement exercises.
My. The years certainly do roll round.
M-E-A-T. What's he go there for all the time, Penny?
Oh, I don't know. It's so handy. Just around the corner.
Oh, Donald. Mr. DePin and I are going to take the fireworks up to Mount Vernon next week. You think you can give us a hand?
Yes, sir. Only I can't take no money for it this year. If the government finds out I'm working, they'll get sore.
Ah. Ed, I got a wonderful idea in the bathroom just now. I was reading Trotsky. It's yours, isn't it?
Yeah, I left it there.
Who is it?
You know, Trotsky, the Russian Revolution.
Oh.
Anyhow, it struck me. It was a great fireworks idea. Remember the last days of Pompeii?
Yes, Palisades Park. That's where we met.
Well, I'm going to do the revolution. A full-hour display.
Say,
Paul, that's
The
wonderful.
red fire's the flag, huh?
Sure, and the Tsar and the Cossacks.
and the freeing of the slaves?
No, Donald. The Russian Revolution. Oh, hello, Grandpa.
Well, sir, you should have been there. That's all I can say. You should have been there.
Was it a nice commencement, Grandpa?
Wonderful. They get better every year. You don't know how lucky you are, you're snakes.
Big class this year, Grandpa? How many were there?
Oh, must have been 2 acres. Everybody graduated. Yes, sir, and much funnier speeches than they had last year, too.
You want to hear a good speech, you go up in your Father Divine.
Oh, I'll wait. They'll have him at Columbia.
Donald, will you tell Reba that Grandpa's home now, and we won't wait for Miss Alice?
Yes, ma'am. Reba, Grandpa's home, we can have dinner.
We made a new skyrocket today, Grandpa. Wait till you see it.
Evening, Grandpa.
Good evening, Mr. DePina.
Didn't we make a fine rocket today, Mr. DePina?
We certainly did.
Wonder why they don't have fireworks at commencements.
Don't make enough noise. You take a good commencement order, and he'll drown out a whole carload of fireworks. And say just as much, too.
Don't the graduates ever say anything?
No, they just sit there in cap and nightgown, get their diplomas, and then along about 40 years from now, they suddenly say, "Where am I?"
Hello, Grandpa. Have a nice day.
Hello, have a nice day. Don't I even get a kiss?
Excuse me, Grandpa.
I'll take a tomato, too.
Father?
No thanks.
Mother?
No, thanks, dear.
You know, I could have used a few of these this afternoon. Play something, Ed.
All right.
Grandpa, there was a letter came for you. Did you get it?
Letter for me. I don't know anybody.
It was for you, though. Had your name on it.
That's funny. Where is it?
I don't know. Where's Grandpa's letter, Mother?
What, dear?
Where's the letter that came for Grandpa last week?
I don't know. I remember seeing it in the upstairs bathroom.
Who was it from? Did you notice?
Yes, it was on the outside.
Well, who was it?
United States government.
Really? Wonder what they wanted.
There was one before that, too, from the same people. There was a couple of them.
Well, if any more come, I wish you'd give them to me.
Yes, Grandpa.
I think I'll go out to Westchester tomorrow and do a little snake hunting.
God is the state is God.
What's that?
God is the state is God.
Who says that?
Trotsky.
Oh, well, that's all right. I thought you said it.
It's good for printing, you know. Nice and short. G-O-D space. I-S space. T-H-E space.
And so the beautiful princess came into the palace and kissed her mother, and her father, and her grandfather.
Hello, darling.
Hello, Grandpa. And what do you think? They turned into the Sycamore family. Surprised?
Oh, Alice, I like it.
Do you?
It's new, isn't it?
Oh, it looks nice and summery, dear.
Where'd you get it?
Oh, I took a walk during lunch hour.
You've been taking a lot of walks lately. That's the second new dress this week.
Yes, I just like to brighten up the office once in a while. I'm known as the K. Francis of Kirby and Company. So, what's new around here in the way of plays, snakes, ballet dancing, or fireworks? Dad, I bet you've been down in that cellar all day, haven't you?
Huh?
Well, I'm going back to my war play, Alice.
Really, Mother?
Yes.
Ed, play Alice that Beethoven thing you wrote.
You know, you can mail a letter all the way from Nicaragua now for 2 pesetas.
Really?
Kenneth, my virginity is a priceless thing to me.
Listen, people, listen! I'm not home to dinner. A young gentleman is calling for me.
Really? Who is it?
Well, isn't that nice?
I did everything possible to keep him from coming here, but he's calling for me.
Well, why don't you both stay to dinner?
No, I want him to take you in easy doses. I've tried to prepare him a little, but don't make it any worse if you can help. Don't read him any plays, Mother. Oh, and don't let a snake bite him, Grandpa, because I like him. Oh, and I wouldn't dance for him, Essie, because we're going to the Monte Carlo Ballet tonight.
Can't do anything. Who is he? President of the United States?
No, he's vice president of Kirby and Company, Mr. Anthony Kirby Jr.
The boss's son?
Well,
The boss's son, just like the movies.
That explains all the new dresses.
And not being home to dinner for 3 weeks.
Why, Sherlock Holmes.
are you going to marry him?
Why, yes, of course, tonight. Meanwhile, I have to go put on my wedding dress.
Is he good looking?
Yes, in a word. Oh dear, what time is it?
I don't know. Anybody know what time it is?
Mr. DePino might know.
It was 5 o'clock a couple hours ago.
Oh, I ought to know better than to ask you people. Will you let me know the minute he comes, please?
Of course, Alice.
Yes, but I mean the minute he comes.
Why, of course.
Well, be sure.
Well, what do you think of that?
She seems to like him, if you ask me.
I should say so. She's got it bad.
I think if they get married here, they can have the wedding right here in this room.
Now, Penny, this is the first time the boys called for the girl.
You only called for me once.
Young people are different nowadays.
Once and just stayed.
Anyhow, I think it's wonderful. Don't you, Grandpa?
She certainly seems happy about it.
Oh, he must be crazy about her. Maybe he's the one taking her out every night. Oh, that must be him. Never mind, Reba. I'll answer it.
All right, let's take a look at him.
Now remember what Alice said and be very nice to him. Well, welcome to our little home.
How do you do?
I'm Alice's mother. Do come right in. Here we are. This is Grandpa, and that's Alice's father, Alice's sister, and her husband, Ed Carmichael. Now, give me your hat and make yourself right at home.
I'm afraid you must be making a mistake.
How's that?
My card?
Wilbur C. Henderson, Internal Revenue Department.
That's right.
What can we do for you?
Does Mr. Martin Vanderhoff live here?
Oh, yes, sir, that's me.
Well, Mr. Vanderhoff, the government wants to talk to you about a little matter of income tax.
Income tax?
Do you mind if I take a seat?
No, go right ahead.
Thank you.
Mother, is that Mr. Kirby?
No, it isn't, darling. It's an internal something or other. Oh, pardon me.
Mr. Sycamore. Oh, excuse me.
What is it?
Mr. Sycamore, look, these things just are not going off.
Not here, Mr. DePina. Grandpa's busy.
Oh.
Pardon me.
Now, Mr. Vanderhoff, we've written you several letters about this, but have not had any reply.
Oh, that's what those letters were.
I told you they were from the government.
According to your records, Mr. Vanderhoff, never filed an income tax return.
Well, that's right.
Why not?
I don't believe in it.
You own property, don't you?
Yes, sir.
You receive a yearly income from it
Yeah, I do.
of between $3,000 and $4,000.
About that.
You've been receiving it for years.
I have. 1901, if you want the exact date.
Well, the government's only concerned from 1914 on. That's when income tax started.
Well,
Well, it seems you owe the government 24 years back income tax.
Wait a minute. You can't go back that far. That's outlawed.
What's your name?
What difference does that make?
Ever file an income tax return?
No, sir.
What was your income last year?
$28.50, wasn't it, Essie?
Yes, sir.
If you please. Now, Mr. Vanderhoff, you know there's quite a penalty for not filling an income tax return.
Penalty?
now look, Mr. Henderson, let me ask you something.
Oh, Essie, your dancing's
Well,
beautiful tonight.
Suppose I pay you
I'm
this money. Mind
going
you,
back to my war
I don't
play.
say I'm
Oh, I
going
always
to
liked
pay it, but just for the sake of argument.
And
What is the government
I have this
going
line.
to do with it?
Kenneth,
How
our
do you mean?
virginity is
Well, what do I get for
you
my
think
money?
priceless?
If
should
I go
stick
into
with that?
Macy's and buy something, there it is. I see it. What does the government give me?
Why the government gives you everything. It protects you.
What from?
Invasion, foreigners that might come over here and take everything you've got.
Oh, I don't think they're going to do that.
If you didn't pay any income tax, would. How do you think the government keeps up with the Army, the Navy, all those battleships?
The last time we used battleships was the Spanish-American War. And what did we get out of that? Cuba. And we gave that back. Now, I wouldn't mind paying if it were something sensible.
Sensible. Well, what about the Congress, the Supreme Court, and the President? We have to pay them, don't we?
Not with my money, no, sir.
Now I'm not here to argue with you. All I know is that you haven't paid any income tax and you've got to pay it.
They've got to show me.
We don't have to show you. I just told you. All those buildings down in Washington, the interstate commerce, and the Constitution.
The Constitution was paid for long ago. And interstate commerce. What is interstate commerce, anyhow?
There are 48 states. See? If there weren't interstate commerce, how could one thing go from one state to another?
I don't know. They got fences?
They haven't got fences, they've got laws. My goodness. Never came across anything like this before.
Well, I might pay about $75, but that's all it's worth.
You'll pay every cent, just like everyone else.
Listen, Essie, listen to this a minute.
And let me tell you something else. You'll go to jail if you don't pay. You hear that? That's the law. And if you think you're bigger than the law, you've got another thing coming for you. You're no better than anyone else. The sooner you get that through your head, the better. You'll be hearing from the United States government. That's all I can say.
Look out for those snakes.
Ugh. How's that, Essie?
Fine, Ed.
How did that sound to you, folks?
I liked it.
My goodness, he was mad, wasn't he?
Oh, it's not his fault. It's just the whole thing is so silly.
He forgot his hat.
Oh, say, what size is that hat?
7 1/8.
Just right for me.
Who is he anyhow?
Oh, that must be Mr. Kirby. How do you do?
Good evening.
Is this Mr. Anthony Kirby Jr.?
Yes.
Well, Mr. Kirby, come right in. We've been expecting you. Come right in. This is really Mr. Kirby. Now, I'm Alice's mother, and that's Mr. Sycamore, and Alice's grandfather, and Alice's sister, and her husband, Ed. There. Now you know all of us. Now, give me your hat, Mr. Kirby, and make yourself right at home.
Thank you.
Mother, is that Mr. Kirby?
Oh, yes, it is, Alice. He's lovely.
Oh, I'll be right down.
Do sit down, Mr. Kirby.
Thank you. Oh, I hope I'm not keeping you from dinner.
Oh, no. Have a tomato.
No, thank you.
How about a piece of candy?
Really, no thanks.
Oh, well. Oh, I forgot to introduce Mr. DePinna. This is Mr. DePinna, Mr. Kirby.
Wasn't I read about your father's newspaper? Didn't he get indicted or something?
Oh, hardly that. He just testified in front of the Securities Commission.
Oh.
Yes, I'm sure there was nothing crooked about it, Mr. DePinna. After all, Alice has often told us what a lovely man your father is.
Yes, but I know Father could hardly get along without Alice. She knows more about the business than any of us.
You're awful young, aren't you, Mr. Kirby, to be vice president of a big place like that?
Well, you know what that means, right? Vice President. All I have is a desk with my name on it.
Is that all? Don't you get any salary?
Well, a little. More than I'm worth, I'm afraid.
Now, you're just being modest.
Sounds kind of dull to me. Wall Street. Do you like it?
Well, the hours are short, and I haven't been there very long.
Oh, just out of college, huh?
Well, I knocked around a while first. Just sort of had fun.
What did you do? Travel?
For a while. Then I went to Cambridge for a year.
Oh, England.
That's right.
Say, what's an English commencement like? Did you see any?
Oh, very impressive.
They are, huh?
Anyhow, now the fun's over, and I'm facing the world.
Well, you've certainly got a great start, Mr. Kirby. Vice President and a rich father.
Well, that's hardly my fault.
So now I suppose you're all ready to settle down and get married.
Come now, Penny. I'm sure Mr. Kirby can make up his own mind.
I wasn't making up his mind for him. Was I, Mr. Kirby?
That's quite all right, Mrs. Sycamore.
You see,
You mustn't rush him, Mother.
all I'm saying is he's bound to get married, and suppose the wrong girl gets him.
Well, here I am, a vision in blue. Oh, apparently you've had time to get acquainted.
Oh, yes, we were just having a delightful talk of love and marriage.
I'm so sorry. I came down as fast as I could.
Oh, I didn't mind it in the least.
Damn those flies in the kitchen.
Oh, Miss Alice, you look beautiful. Where are you going?
I'm going out, Reba.
Steppin', huh?
That must be Mr. Kalinkoff.
I think we better go, Tony.
Oh, all right.
Take cream on your cornflakes? I forget.
Half and half, Donald.
Ah, my little Robishka!
Yes, sir, Mr. Kalinkoff.
Grandpa, what do you think? The second 5-year plan is failure.
High practice today, Mr.
My
Kalinkoff.
Pavlova.
Well, if you'll excuse us, Mr. Kalinkoff.
My little Alice, never have I seen you look so magnificent.
Thank you, Mr. Kalinkoff. This is Mr. Kalinkoff, Essie's dancing teacher. Mr. Kalinkoff, Mr. Kirby.
How do you do?
Mwah! Mwah! How do you do?
Yes, well, if you'll pardon us, Mr. Kalinkoff, we're going to the Monte Carlo Ballet tonight.
The Monte Carlo Ballet. It stinks.
Oh, yes, well, goodbye, everybody. Goodbye.
Bye. Monte Carlo Ballet.
Oh, isn't Mr. Kirby lovely? Come on, everybody. Dinner's ready.
Thought he was a nice fellow, didn't you?
Oh, and he had
so
such nice
good
manners.
looking.
Did you notice, Paul? Did you notice his manners?
I certainly did. You're
Diego,
getting pretty
then you had
personal.
the
with it.
Oh, now, he's a very nice young man, Paul. And I think if they get married here, I'll put the altar right where the snakes are. You wouldn't mind, Grandpa, would you?
Not if the snakes don't.
Oh, no. They'll want to get married in a church. His family and everything.
I like a church wedding.
Quiet, everybody, quiet. Well, sir, we've been getting along for quite a while now, and we're certainly much obliged. Remember, all we ask is just to go along and be happy in our own sort of way. Of course, we'd like to keep our health, but as far as anything else is concerned, we'll leave that up to you. Thank you.
Of course, his family's going to want to come.
What have we got for dinner?
I'll be excited.
Try the third 5-year plan.
I think they're marvelous.
They are, aren't they? But of course, just walking into any theater gives me a thrill.
Yes, well, it's been so lovely, Tony. I hate to have it over.
Oh, is it over? Do I have to go right away?
If you don't want to.
I don't.
Would you, like something cold to drink?
Wonderful.
I'll see what's in the icebox. Want to come along?
I'd follow you to the ends of the earth.
Oh, just the kitchen is enough. Father forgot his hat.
Oh, I like it. You've done it quite simply, haven't you?
Yes, we weren't sure whether to do it Empire or Neo-Grecian.
Oh, so you settled with Frigidaire.
It's so easy to live with. Lucky you're not hungry, Mr. K. An icebox full of cornflakes gives you a rough idea of the sycamores.
Of course, why they make these bottle openers for singer midgets, I never... Oh, all over my coat.
I'll take mine in a glass if you don't mind.
There you are, a foaming beaker.
Anyhow, it's cold.
Now, if you'll please be seated, I'd like to offer a toast.
We are seated.
I'm excited to look at the differences
Well,
and stuff.
Miss Sycamore,
It'll be pretty interesting to see.
Thank you, Mr. Kirby. To you.
You know something?
What?
I wouldn't trade 1 minute of this evening for all the rice in China.
Really?
Cross my heart.
Is there much rice in China?
Terrific. Haven't you read the Gooder? Well, I suppose I have to go.
Is it very late?
Very. I don't want to go.
I don't want you to go.
right, then I won't. When do you get your vacation?
The last 2 weeks in August.
I might take mine then too.
Really?
What are you gonna do?
Oh, I don't know. I hadn't thought much about it yet.
Going away, do you think?
I might not. I like the city in the summertime.
Me too.
But you always call me Tommy, don't you?
That's right. Oh, but I'm sure I would love the city in the summertime if... Oh, Alice, you know what I'm saying. I'd love if you were here.
Well, it'd be nice to be here, Tommy.
You know what you're saying, don't you?
What?
That you'd rather spend the summer with me than anybody else.
Was I?
Well, if it's true about the summertime, how would you feel about the winter?
Yes, I think I'd like that too.
And then there's spring and autumn, if you could see a way clear those, Miss Sycamore.
I might.
Well, I guess that's the whole year. We aren't forgetting anything, are we?
No.
Well,
Is that you, Alice? Oh, what time is it? Oh, I didn't mean to interrupt anything. Excuse me, Mr. Kirby.
not at all, Mrs. Sycamore.
No, Mother. I just came down for a manuscript. Then you can go right ahead. Well, here it is. Sex takes a holiday. Well, good night, Tony.
Good night, Mrs. Sycamore.
Oh, I think you can call me Penny. Don't you, Alice? At least I hope so.
What was that?
Oh, it's all right, Tony. That's Father.
Oh, at this time of day?
Any time of night, any time of day.
You know, you're more lovely, more beautiful, more adorable than anyone in the whole world.
Don't, Tony.
My dear, just because you're mother? Well, all mothers are like that. And Penny's a darling. You see, I'm already calling her Penny.
It isn't that. It's something that I've been meaning to say to you for quite some time, but I didn't have the courage. I let myself be swept away because, well, I loved you so. No, I want to make it clear to you. You're of a different world, a whole different kind of people. I don't mean money or socially. That's too silly, but your family and mine, Tony, it just wouldn't work. It wouldn't work.
All right, have it your way. She can't dance. That's why they pay her all their money, because she can't dance.
Well, I don't call that dancing what she does. Oh, hello. How was the ballet?
It was fine, Essie.
Wonderful.
Hello there.
Hello.
Look, what do you people think? Ed and I just saw Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. Do you think she can dance, Mr. Kirby?
Why, yes, I always thought so.
What does she do anyhow? Now look, you're Fred Astaire and I'm Ginger Rogers.
Essie, please.
I only want to use him for a minute. Now look, Mr. Kirby.
Essie, you are just as good as Ginger Rogers. We all think so.
You see, Ed?
Yeah, come on, Essie. We're butting in here.
Oh, they've been together all evening. Good night, Mr. Kirby. Good night, Alice.
Good night, Mrs. Carmichael.
Good night. Essie, did you ask Grandpa about us having a baby?
Oh, yes. He said go right ahead.
You see, that's what it would be like.
Oh, I didn't mind that. And it's not like we'd be living with your family. It would just be you and I.
No, it wouldn't, Tony. It's never quite like that with them. Some people could break away, but I can't. And I know they do rather strange things, but they're gay and they're fun and I don't know, there's a sort of nobility about them.
Oh, darling, you talk as if only you could understand them. That isn't true. Why, every family's got their curious little traits. I mean, look at my father. He raises orchids at $10,000 a bulb. Is that sensible? And my mother, she believes in spiritualism. That's just as bad as your mother writing plays, isn't it?
It goes deeper than that, Tony. Your father raises orchids because he can afford to, and your mother believes in spiritualism because it's fashionable. My mother writes plays because 8 years ago a typewriter was delivered here by mistake.
Darling, what of it?
And look at Grandpa. He just quit business one day. 35 years ago, he went up to the office in his elevator and then just came straight down again. He could have been a rich man, but he said it took too much time. So for 35 years, he's just collected snakes and gone to circuses and commencements, and it never occurs to any of them.
Hello there, children.
Good evening, Mr. Vanderhoff.
How's the weather? Seems like a nice summer evening.
Yes, it's lovely, Grandpa.
Well, I'm off. Goodbye, Mr. Kirby. I've got a date with the policeman on the corner.
Policeman?
It's a standing date, 12:30 every night. Known him since he was a little boy. He's really a doctor, but once he graduated, he came to me and said he didn't want to be a doctor anymore. He had always wanted to be a policeman. So I said to him, "You go and be a policeman if that's what you want to be." And that's what he did. Oh, do you like my new hat?
Oh, it's very nice, Mr. Vanderhoff.
Yeah, I like it. The government gave it to me.
Whoa! Oh, excuse me. I didn't know you folks was in here.
That's all right, Donald.
Reba kind of fancied some candy and... Oh! Here it is. But you don't want it, do you?
No, Donald.
Did you have a nice evening?
Yes, Donald.
Nice dinner?
Yes, Donald.
Was the ballet nice?
Yes, Donald.
That's nice.
Now do you see what I mean? Could you explain Donald to your father? Could you explain Grandpa? You couldn't, Tony, and I love you, Tony, but it's just no use, Tony. It's no use.
Darling, you've only said one thing that matters. That makes any sense at all. You love me.
But I know so well.
Don't you think other people have had the same problem? Everybody's got a family.
But not like mine.
That doesn't stop people who love each other, darling. Darling, won't you trust me and go on loving me and forget everything else?
How can I?
Because nothing can keep us apart. You know that. You must. And they want you to be happy, don't they? They must.
Of course they do, Tony, but they can't change. I wouldn't want them to change.
They wouldn't have to change. They're charming, lovable people just as they are. Everything will be just fine. You're worrying about something that may never come up.
Oh, Tony, am I?
All that matters right now is that we love each other. That's so, isn't it?
Yes.
Well then.
Oh, Tony.
Now, I'd like to see a little gaiety around here. Young gentlemen calling and getting engaged and everything.
Oh, well, what do I say?
Well, first you thank the young gentleman for getting engaged to you.
Thank you, Mr. Kirby, for getting engaged to me.
And then you tell him what it was about him that first took your girlish heart.
Oh, it's the back of your head.
What?
Uh-huh. It wasn't your charm, and it wasn't your money. It was the back of your head. I just liked it.
What happened when I turned around?
Oh, I got used to it after a while.
Well, Alice, you know something? We're pretty lucky, aren't we?
I certainly know I am. I'm the luckiest girl in the world.
I'm not so unlucky myself. Well, I suppose I ought to go. Good night, Alice. Until tomorrow.
Good night.
Isn't it wonderful that we work in the same office? Otherwise, I'd be hanging around here all day.
Won't it be funny in the office tomorrow? Seeing each other, then going on as though nothing had happened?
Thank goodness I'm vice president. I can dictate to you all day. Dear Miss Sycamore, I love you, I love you, I love you.
Oh, darling, you're such a fool.
Why don't you meet me in the drugstore tomorrow morning before we go into the office? I'll have millions of things to say to you.
All right.
And then lunch and dinner tomorrow night.
Oh, Tony, what would people say?
Well, it's got to come out sometime. In fact, if you know a good housetop, I'd like to do a little shouting.
Yes, sir, Mr. DePina. We did a good night's work.
That's what? 500 Black Panthers, 300 willow trees, and 8,000 junior kitty bombers.
Pretty good. Oh, hello, Alice. You just come in?
No, I've been home for quite a while.
Did you have a nice evening?
I had a beautiful evening, Father.
Say, I'd like you to take a look at this new red fire. Will you get the lights, Mr. DePina? Want Alice to get the full effect.
What, Father?
Come take a look at this new red fire. It's beautiful. There. Isn't it beautiful?
Oh, Father, everything is beautiful. I think it's the most beautiful red fire in the whole world.
All right, I says to him, I says, you can take your old job and you can shove it up your head.
I'm ready to redo the new play, Miss Wellington. Anytime you are.
Oh, just a minute, dearie. Just a minute.
The only thing is, and I hope you don't mind my mentioning this, but you don't drink while you're acting, do you, Miss Wellington? I'm just asking, of course.
I'm glad you brought it up. Once the play opens, I don't touch a drop. The minute I enter a stage door, the bottle gets put away. Till intermission.
Oh.
Have you been on the stage a long time, Miss Wellington?
All my life, I've played everything. You ever seen Peg in My Art?
Yes.
Yeah, I saw it too. It was a good show. Yeah. Oh my. Hot night, ain't it?
You want me to open a window, Miss Wellington?
No, to hell with the weather. Say, he's cute.
She's just acting, Reba. She didn't mean nothing by it.
Well, whenever you're ready, Miss Wellington, we'll go up to my room and start. I thought we'd read the play up in my room.
All right, dearie. I'm ready. When I see snakes, it's time to lie down.
Oh dear. Oh, but those are real, Miss Wellington. They're Grandpa's. Those are real. Oh, I hope she's not going to. Miss Wellington!
She's out like a light.
Better let her sleep it off.
Reba! Miss Wellington just passed out.
Good! Do you think she'll be all right?
Yes, but I wouldn't cast her in the religious play.
Well, I suppose I'll just have to wait then.
Next time you meet an actress on top of a bus, Penny, I think I'd send her the play instead of bringing her home to read it.
Ed, I wish you'd stop printing and take those love dreams around. You've got to get back in time to play for me when Kalinkov comes.
Kalinkov coming tonight?
Yes, tomorrow night's his night, but I had to change it on account of Alice.
Oh, big doings around here tomorrow night, huh?
Oh, isn't it exciting? You know, I'm so nervous you'd think it was me he was engaged to instead of Alice.
What do you think they'll be like, his mother and father? Ed, what are you doing now?
Penny, did you see the mask I made last night? Guess who it is?
Don't tell me now, Ed. Wait a minute. Helen of Troy?
It's Miss Roosevelt.
Oh.
You know the nice thing about these director sets? You can make just about anything out of them. Last week was the Empire State Building.
What is it this week?
Queen Mary.
Hasn't got the right hat on.
Look, Mr. DePina, would you open the front door and see if there's a man standing out front?
Why? What for?
Well, the past few days when I've been out delivering candy, I think a man's been following me.
Real, I'll take
Ed,
a look and
you're
see.
crazy.
I don't see what anybody would follow you for, Ed.
Well, there's been a lot of kidnappings going on, Grandpa.
Yes, but not of Ed.
Well, did you see him?
There's nobody out there at all.
You're sure?
Yeah, positive. I just saw him walk away.
You see?
Oh, it could have been anyone walking along the street, Ed. Will you hurry and get back?
All
You want to go down now, Mr. Sycamore Fish, pack up those fireworks?
Yeah, we've got to take the stuff up to Mount Vernon in the morning.
Mother, may I borrow some paper?
Oh, yes, dear.
I'm making out a list for Reba for tomorrow night.
Here's some.
Thank you. Why, what happened to your actress friend? Is she giving a performance?
No, she's not acting, Alice. She is really drunk.
Oh. Essie, dear, you're going to give Reba the kitchen the whole day tomorrow, right? Because she'll need it.
Of course, Alice. I'm going to start some love dreams now, so I'll be way ahead.
Thanks, dear. And look, Mother, I'm going to come home at 3 o'clock tomorrow. Will you have everything in the cellar by then? The typewriter, the snakes, the printing press, the xylophone.
And Miss Wellington.
And Miss Wellington.
Yes, of course, dear.
That'll give me enough time to arrange a table and fix the flowers.
The Kirbys are certainly going to get the wrong impression of this house.
And I think we ought to have cocktails ready by 7:15, just in case they happen to arrive a little early. Oh, I wonder if I ought to let Reba cook the dinner. What do you think, Grandpa?
Well, now, Alice, I wouldn't worry. From what I've seen of the boy, I'm sure the Kirbys are very nice people. And if everything isn't so elaborate tomorrow night, that's all right, too.
Oh, I'm not trying to impress them or make them think we're anything we aren't. I just want everything to go off well.
No reason why it shouldn't, Alice.
We're all going to do everything we can to make it a nice party.
Oh, my darlings, I love you. You're the most wonderful family in the whole world, and I'm the happiest girl in it. Why, I don't know how anyone could be this happy. The past few weeks have felt like floating. Just seeing him, Grandpa, you don't know what it does to me.
Just seeing him, huh? Just seeing him for lunch and dinner and until 4 o'clock in the morning. And at 9 o'clock next morning, you're at the office again, and there he is. Just seeing him, huh?
I don't care. I'm in love. Reba!
Nice, isn't it? Nice to see you're so happy.
Yes, I remember when I was engaged to Paul, how happy I was. And you know, I still feel that way.
Nice the way Ed and Essie get along, too.
And Donald and Reba, even though they're not married. Do you suppose Mr. DePina will ever marry anyone, Grandpa?
Well, there's Miss Wellington.
Oh, dear, I wish he'd wake up. If we're ever going to read the play tonight.
Mrs. Sycamore, look what I found.
Oh, why, of course. course, it's my painting of you as the discus thrower. Look, Grandpa.
Oh, yes, I remember. Say, you've gotten a little bald, haven't you, Mr. DePina?
No, I don't think so, but there's still some right here.
Well, it was a long time ago, Mr. DePina, just before I stopped painting. Let me see. That's 8 years.
I wish you finished it, Mrs. Sycamore.
I always meant to finish it, Mr. DePina, but I just started to write a play one day, and that was that. I never painted again.
And just as well, too. I was going to have to strip next.
Who would have thought that day that I came to the ice, I was here for 8 years?
Oh, the milkman was here for 5, just before you.
Say, why did he leave anyhow?
Oh, he didn't leave. He died.
Oh.
He was such a nice man. Remember the funeral, Grandpa? We never knew his name, and it was kind of hard to get a certificate.
What was the name we finally made up for him?
Martin Vanderhoff. We gave him your name.
Oh, yes, I remember.
And it was a lovely thought, because otherwise he would have never received all those flowers.
Certainly was, and it didn't hurt me any. Not bothered with mail anymore, and I haven't received a telephone call from that day to this.
Yes, it really was a wonderful idea.
I wish you finished it, Mrs. Sycamore. I'd kind of like to have it.
You know what, Mr. DePina? I think I'll do some work on it right tonight.
You don't say.
I don't think she's going to wake up anyhow. Look, Mr. DePina, you go down in the cellar and put on your costume. And bring up my easel. Is it still down there?
I think so.
Now, where did I put my palette and brushes?
Robishka, my little Robishka!
Yes, sir, Mr. Kalinkoff. Hello, Mr. Kalinkoff. Essie's in the kitchen.
Madam Sycamore, I greet you. Grandpa, what should I do about Robishka? I keep telling her she could make a great toe dancer, but she laughs only.
No, sir, I couldn't get up on my toes, Mr. Kalinkoff. I got corns.
Robishka, you could wear diamonds. A great girl, Grandpa. What is that?
A picture of Mr. DePina. Penny painted it.
It stinks.
I know. How do you like that?
Oh, what is that?
She's an actress. Friend of Penny.
She is drunk, no?
She is drunk, yes. How are you, Kalenka?
Magnificent. Life is chasing around inside of me like a squirrel.
It is, huh? What's new in Russia? Any more letters from your friend in Moscow?
Oh, I've just heard from him. I saved for you the stamp.
Oh, thanks, Kalenkov.
They have sent him to Siberia.
Oh, they have, huh? How's he like it?
He has escaped. He has escaped and gone back to Moscow. He will get them yet if they do not get him first. The Soviet government. I could take the whole Soviet government and...
Sorry I'm late, Mr. Klinkov. I'll get into my dancing clothes right away.
Tonight you will really work, my Pavlova. Tonight we will try something new.
Is he making any progress, Kalenkov?
Confidentially, she stinks.
Well, as long as she's having fun.
You sure do tickle Reba, Mr. Kalinkov. She's laughing her head off out there.
She is a great woman. Donald, what do you think of the Soviet government?
The what, Mr. Kalinkov?
I withdraw the question. What do you think of this government?
Oh, I like it fine. I'm on relief, you know.
Oh, yes, and you like it?
Yeah, it's fine. Only thing is you got to go around the place every week to get it, and sometimes you got to stand in the line pretty near half an hour. Government ought to be run better than that, don't you think, Grandpa?
Government ought to stop sending me these letters. Want me to be at the United States Marshal's office Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock. Look at that.
Income tax. They have got you, Grandpa.
I'm supposed to give them a lot of money so as to keep Donald on relief.
Oh, you don't say. You're going to pay it from now on?
Well, that's what they want.
You mean I get to stand right here instead of waiting in that line?
No, Donald. I'm afraid you'll have to waste a full half hour of your time every week.
Well, I don't like it. Breaks up my week.
You should have been in Russia when the revolution came. Then you would have had to stand in line. A bread line. Grandpa, what they have done to Russia. Think of it. The Grand Duchess, Olga Katrina, a cousin of the Tsar. She is a waitress in Child's restaurant. I ordered baked beans from her only yesterday. It broke my heart. A crazy world, Grandpa.
Oh, the world's not so crazy, Kalenkov. It's the people in it. Life's kind of simple if you just relax.
But how can you relax in times like these?
Well, if they'd relax, there wouldn't be times like these. That's just my point. Life's kind of beautiful if you just let it come to you. But the trouble is, people forget that. I know I did. I was right in the thick of it. fighting and scratching and clawing. Regular jungle. Then one day, it just sort of struck me. I wasn't having any fun.
And so you did what?
Just relaxed. 35 years ago that was, and I've been a happy man ever since.
Good evening, Mr. Kalinko.
My little Alice, I have not yet seen you to present my congratulations.
Thank you.
May you be very happy and have many little children. That is my prayer for you.
That's quite a thought.
Ah, love. Love is all that is left in the world, Grandpa.
Yes, but there's plenty of that.
And soon Stalin will take that away, too.
Seems so nice to get into my art things again. They still look all right, don't they, Grandpa?
Yes, indeed.
You are a breath of Paris, Madam Sycamore.
Why, thank you, Mr. Kalinkoff.
Oh, I didn't know you was working for the WPA.
Oh, no, Donald. You see, I used to paint all the time.
It happened again. There was a fellow following me every place I went.
Nonsense, Ed. It's just your imagination.
No, it isn't. It happens every time I go out to deliver candy.
Well, maybe he wants a piece of candy.
It's all right for you to laugh now, Grandpa, but he keeps following me.
You do not know what following is. In Russia, everybody is followed. I was followed right out of Russia.
Why, of course. You see, Ed, the whole thing is just imagination.
Well, maybe.
Oh, here we are.
Where do you want this? Over there?
Put it here, Mr. DePina. Thank you.
Ed, for tonight's lesson, we will use the first movement of Scheherazade, huh?
Okay.
Has something happened to your figure during these 8 years, Mr. DePina?
No, I don't think it's different.
Yes, Miss Wellington? Yes? Oh, dear.
Sorry, Mr. Kalinkoff. I couldn't find my slippers.
We have had night for it tonight, my Pavlova. But art is only achieved through perspiration.
Why, that's wonderful, Mr. Kalinkoff. Did you hear that, Grandpa? That art is only achieved through perspiration.
Yes, but it helps if you've got a little talent with it. Only made 2 bullseyes last night. Gotta do better than that.
Okay, you are ready? We begin.
Mr. DePina.
Pirouette.
I like that, Ed. Keep going.
Pirouette. Come. You
And
can
lift
do this
your
now.
arm.
It's 8 years.
Yes,
I'm
that's
getting
right.
crazy.
Last. Now, entrechat.
Yeah, looks good, Grandpa. Keep it up.
A little higher.
Arm up,
we go.
Mr.
No,
DePina,
Grandpa,
look at
you
me.
cannot relax with Stalin in Russia. The Tsar relaxed and what
And
happened
smile.
to him?
He was too late.
He
Mr.
had not
Kalinkoff,
relaxed.
Mr.
Grandpa
Kalinkoff.
Katrina would not be selling baked
And
beans today.
Look at me, Mr.
Mr.
Kalinkoff.
Oh, I am sorry.
Go
We go
ahead.
back to the pirouette.
Ed,
Right.
pull in your stomach, please.
round, right
Oh,
here.
yes,
A little
that's
job,
right.
Ed.
freer, a little
I'm
freer
trying,
with
Miss
seconds.
Kalinkoff.
Your body must
Hold
work.
it out.
Ed,
No,
now
Miss
listen to
Sycamore,
music.
Miss Sycamore.
The music
Miss
must be
Sycamore,
free too.
look. What,
Now,
Reba?
once a pirouette, you go. A little freer.
Oh,
job.
my goodness.
Good evening. How do you do?
How do you do? Are we too early?
No,
Bad time
come
for this,
right
McKenna.
in. It's perfectly all right. We're glad to see you.
Why, yes, only we thought it was to be tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night?
What? Now, don't let it bother you. Come right in. Make yourselves at home.
Tony, how could you possibly have done such a thing?
I don't know. I
Really, Tony? This is most embarrassing.
Oh, not at all. Why, we weren't doing a thing.
No, just a quiet evening at home.
That's all. Now, don't let it bother you. This is Alice's mother, Mrs. Sycamore.
How do you do?
Alice's sister, Mrs. Carmichael. Mr. Carmichael. Mr. Kalenkov. And, oh, Mr. DePina.
Don't mind my costume. I'll take it right off.
All right now, Mr. DePina. Go tell Mr. Sycamore to come right up. Tell him that Mr. and Mrs. Kirby are here.
And be sure to put his pants on.
All right.
Please sit down.
Well, I'll tell Alice that you're... Alice, dear.
What is it?
Will you please come downstairs? We've got a surprise for you. Well,
Oh, Mrs. Kirby. May I take your wrap?
Oh, well, thank you. If you're perfectly sure that we're not.
Oh, don't be alarmed, Mrs. Kirby. They're perfectly harmless. Take them into the kitchen, Ed.
of course, we're just so used to them around the house.
I'm sorry to trouble you, but snakes happen to be.
I feel very uncomfortable about this. Tony, how could you have done such a thing?
I'm sorry, Father. I thought it was tonight.
It was very careless of you.
very.
Oh, now, Mr. Kirby, anybody could get mixed up.
Benny, how about some dinner for these folks? They've come for dinner, you know.
Oh, please don't bother. We're really not hungry at all.
But it's not a bit of bother. Ed, tell Donald to run down to the A&P and grab half a dozen bottles of beer and some canned salmon. Do you like canned salmon, Mr. Kirby?
Please don't trouble Mrs. Sycamore. I have a little indigestion anyway.
Oh, I'm sorry. And how about you, Mrs. Kirby? Do you like canned salmon?
Oh, I'm very fond of it.
Well, we can have frankfurters if you'd rather.
Either one will do.
Well, make it frankfurters, some canned corn, and Campbell's soup. You got that, Ed?
Okay.
And tell Donald to hurry. The A&P is just around the corner, and the frankfurters don't take any time to boil.
Oh, and this is Alice's father, Mr. Sycamore. Mr. and Mrs. Kirby.
How do you do?
I hope you'll forgive my appearance.
This is Mr. Sycamore's busiest time of the year. Just before 4th of July, he's always down in the cellar.
Oh, darling, I'm the most dull-witted person in the world. I thought it was tonight.
Why, Tony, I thought you... I can't imagine why it wasn't. Well, have you all met each other?
Yes, indeed.
How do you do, Alice?
How do you do, Mrs. Kirby? I'm afraid I'm not very presentable.
Oh, darling, you look lovely.
Of course she does. And don't let this upset you, my dear. We've all just met each other a night sooner, that's all.
Yes, of course.
But I was planning such a nice party for tomorrow night.
Oh, well, then we'll come again tomorrow night then.
There you are, Alice. Am I forgiven?
I guess so. It's just that... Well, we better see about getting you some dinner.
Oh, that's all done, Alice.
But, Mother...
That's all been attended to. Donald...
But, Mother, what did you send out for? Because Mr. Kirby suffers from indigestion and he can only eat certain things.
Oh, it's quite all right.
Yeah, of course it is, Alice.
I asked him what he wanted.
Yes, but...
Now. It's not as serious as all that, just because I have a little indigestion.
Perhaps you do not have indigestion at all, Mr. Kirby. Perhaps you have stomach ulcers.
Don't be absurd, Mr. Kalinkov.
Now, you mustn't mind Mr. Kolenkov, Mr. Kirby. He's a Russian, and Russians are inclined to look on the dark side.
All right, I am Russian. But a friend of mine, died from stomach ulcers.
Really,
Please, Mr. Kalinkov, Mr. Kirby has indigestion, and that's all.
All right, let him wait.
Do sit down, Mr. Kirby. Make yourself comfortable.
Thank you.
Well...
So tell me, Mr. Kirby, how do you find business conditions? Are we pretty well out of the Depression?
What? Yes, I believe so. Of course, it all depends.
But you figure things are going to keep improving?
Broadly speaking, yes. As a matter of fact, industry is now up 64% of full capacity, as opposed to 82% in 1925. Now,
there was a young lady from Wheeling who had a remarkable feeling.
Let's go upstairs, Miss Wellington. Up you go, up you go.
Now, that may seem rather strange to you folks, but she's not quite accountable for her actions. A friend of Penny's. She came to dinner and was overcome by the heat.
Yes, some people feel you know more than others. Perhaps I better see if she's all right. Excuse me, please.
It is awfully hot. You always escape this weather, don't you, Mrs. Kirby, up in Maine?
As a rule. I had to come down this week, however, for the flower show.
Mother wouldn't miss that flower show for the world. That blue ribbon is the high spot of her year.
I won a ribbon at a flower show once for raising onions. Remember, Alice?
That was the garden show, Essie.
Oh, yes.
I think she'll be all right now. Has Donald come back yet?
No, he hasn't.
Well, he'll be right back, and it won't take any time at all. I'm afraid you must be starved.
Oh, that's quite all right. Hello, what is this? I didn't know there were little children in the house.
Oh no, that's mine.
I suppose every man has his hobby, or do you use this as a model of some kind?
No, I just play with it.
I see.
Maybe you'd be better off with a hobby like that, Dad, instead of raising your orchids.
Yes, I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh, do tell us all about your orchids, Mr. Kirby. You know, they can take up to 6 years to blossom. Think of that.
Some of them can take longer than that. I've got one coming along now that I've waited 10 years for.
Believe it or not, I was just waiting for an orchid.
Penny. Of course.
What, Donald?
Ah, here we are. Donald, did you get everything?
Yes, ma'am. Only they didn't have any frankfurters, so I got pickled pig's feet.
Oh.
Never mind, Donald. Just take it all into the kitchen. Do tell them all about your orchids, Mr. Kirby. I know they'd love to hear it, and excuse me.
Quite an expensive hobby, isn't it, Mr. Kirby? Raising orchids?
Yes, it is. Although I believe that if a hobby gives one sufficient pleasure, it's never expensive.
That's very true.
You see, I need something to relieve the daily nerve strain. After a week on Wall Street, I'd go crazy if I didn't have something like that. A lot of men I know own yachts for that very reason.
Why don't they give up Wall Street?
How's that?
I was only joking.
I think it's necessary for everyone to have a hobby. Of course, to me, it's more than just a hobby. My great solace is spiritualism.
Spiritualism? Now, Mrs. Kirby, everybody knows that's a fake.
To me, Miss Sycamore, spiritualism is, well, I'd rather not discuss it, Miss Sycamore.
Remember, Penny, you've got one or two hobbies of your own.
Yes, but not silly ones.
Now, I don't think it matters what the hobby is. I think the important thing is just to have one.
To be ideal, a hobby should improve the mind as well as the body. The Romans were a great people. Why? What was their hobby? Wrestling. In wrestling, you have to think quick with the mind and act quick with the body.
Yes, but I'm afraid wrestling isn't very practical for most of us. I wouldn't make a very good showing as a wrestler.
You could be a great wrestler. You are built for it. Look.
What? Hey. Mr. Kalinkoff!
Oh, Mr. Kirby, are you hurt?
Are you all right, Father?
Where are my glasses?
Oh, there they are, Mr. Kirby. Oh, Mr. Kirby, they're broken.
Oh, I am sorry, Mr. Kirby, but when you wrestle next time, you will of course not be wearing glasses.
I do not intend to wrestle again, Mr. Kalinkoff.
Better sit down, Father.
How could you do such a thing, Mr. Kalinkoff? Why did nobody stop him?
I think if you don't mind, perhaps we had better be going.
Mother.
Oh, please don't go, Mrs. Kirby. I've ordered some scrambled eggs for you and plain salad. Oh, please don't go.
I am sorry if I did something wrong, and I apologize.
I can't tell you how sorry I am, Mr. Kirby. If I'd only been there.
So, you were talking about your orchids, Mr. Kirby. Do you raise many different varieties?
I'm afraid I've forgotten all about my orchids.
I'm awfully sorry, Mr. Kirby.
What did I do that was so terrible? I threw him on the floor. Did it kill him?
Please, Mr. Kalinkoff.
I'm sure dinner won't be any time at all now.
Would you like some candy while you're waiting, Mr. Kirby? I've got some freshly made.
My doctor does not permit me to eat candy, thank you.
Oh, but these are nothing, Mr. Kirby. Just coconut and marshmallow and fudge.
Essie, don't.
Well, Miss Alice.
What is it, Reba?
The eggs done fell down the sink.
Well, go make some more, quick.
I ain't got any.
Well, send Donald out for some.
All right.
And tell him to hurry. Afraid there's been a little more delay, but I'm sure it won't take Donald more than a few minutes to go.
I've sure put you people through a lot of trouble with my stupidity.
Play a game of some sort while we're waiting.
Mother, I
know a
don't
wonderful
think
game
Mr.
with a glass of
Oh,
pop.
but no, Mr.
Kalinkoff.
Oh, but Mr. and Mrs. Kirby would love this game. It's perfectly harmless.
I'm afraid I'm not very good at games, Mrs. Sycamore.
Oh, but any fool could play this game, Mr. Kirby. All you do is write your name down on a piece of paper.
But Mother, Mr. Kirby doesn't want to play.
Oh, he'll love it. Here you are, Mr. Kirby. Just write your name down on a piece of paper. And Mrs. Kirby, you do the same on this one.
Thank you.
Mother, what is this game?
It's a little game I used to play at school. It's called Forget-Me-Not. Now, I'm going to call out 5 words, just anything at all, and as I say each word, you're going to put down the first thing that comes into your mind. For instance, if I say grass, you might put down green, just whatever you think of, see? Or if I call out chair, you might put down table. It shows the reactions people have to different things. You see how simple it is, Mr. Kirby?
Come on, Father, be a sport.
Very well. I should be happy to play it.
You see, Alice, he does want to play.
Well, all right.
Now then, are we ready?
Ready.
Now remember, you must play fair. Put down the first thing that comes into your mind.
I understand.
Everybody ready? The first word is potatoes. potatoes. Ready for the next one? Bathroom.
Mother.
Bathroom, got that? Alrighty, the next word is lust.
Mother, this is not exactly what you said.
Nonsense, Alice. That word's perfectly all right.
That word is not at all right.
Oh, I don't know. It seems like a perfectly fair word to me.
You see, Alice? Now you mustn't interrupt the game.
May I have that last word again, please?
Lust, Mr. Kirby.
I've got it.
This is quite a game, isn't it?
Shh, Grandpa. All right, the next word is honeymoon. Oh, now, Essie. All right. The last word is sex.
Mother!
Sex. Everybody got sex? Now, give me all your papers. Thank you, Mr. Klinkoff. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Kirby.
It's really quite an interesting game.
Oh, yes. I knew you'd like it. I'll read your paper first, Mr. Kirby.
What happens now?
Oh, this is the best part. Now I read out your reactions. Everybody, this is Mr. Kirby. Listen. Steak, potatoes. Oh, you see how they go together? Steak and potatoes?
I just happened to think of it.
Oh, it's very good, Mr. Kirby. And bathroom, toothpaste. Oh, yes, that's very good. And, well, lust, unlawful. Isn't that nice? And honeymoon, trip, yes, yes. And, oh, sex, male. Oh, yes, of course you are, Mr. Kirby. Oh, that is really a wonderful paper.
Thank you. It's more than just a game, you know. It's sort of an experiment in psychology, isn't it?
Yes, it really shows how your mind works. Now, let's see how Mrs. Kirby's mind works. Everybody, this is Mrs. Kirby. Potatoes, starch. Oh, I know just what you mean, Mrs. Kirby. And, oh, bathroom, Mr. Kirby.
What's that?
Bathroom, Mr. Kirby.
I don't quite follow that, my dear.
I just thought of you in connection with it. After all, you are in there a great deal. Oh, bathing and shaving, of course. You do take a long time.
Indeed, I hadn't realized I was being selfish in the matter. Go on, Miss Sycamore.
This really is the most ridiculous game, and I think we ought to stop.
Oh, I find this game rather interesting. Go on.
Where was I? Lust, human.
Human? Really, Miriam?
I just meant, Anthony, that lust, after all, is a human emotion.
I don't agree with you, Miriam. Lust is not a human emotion. It's depraved.
Very well, Anthony. I'm wrong.
This really is most silly. Suppose we play 20 questions?
Yes.
No, please go on, Miss Sycamore. What was the next word?
Honeymoon.
Ah, yes. And what was Mrs. Kirby's answer?
Honeymoon, dull.
Did you say dull?
What I meant, Anthony, is that Hot Springs was not very gay that season. All those old people sitting on the porch all afternoon with nothing to do at night.
Oh. That was not your reaction at the time, as I recall it.
Father, it is just a game.
Oh, a very illuminating game. Go on, Miss Sycamore.
Oh, well, this one's all right, Mr. Kirby. Sex, Wall Street.
Wall Street? What do you mean by that, Miriam?
I don't know what I meant, Anthony. Nothing.
But you must have meant something, or you wouldn't have put it down.
It was just the first thing that came into my head. That is all.
Well, what does it mean? Sex, Wall Street.
Oh, I don't know what it means, Anthony. It's just that you're always talking about Wall Street, even when we're... I don't know what I meant. Would you mind terribly, Alice, if we didn't stay for dinner tonight? I'm afraid this game has given me a headache.
I understand, Mrs. Kirby.
Yes, perhaps we better postpone the dinner if you don't mind.
Oh, but you're coming tomorrow night, aren't you?
I'm afraid we have an engagement tomorrow night.
Yes, perhaps we better postpone the whole affair for a little while. The hot weather and...
I think we're being rather ungracious, Father. Of course we'll stay for dinner tonight.
I have a very bad headache, Tony.
Come, Tony. I'm sure everybody understands.
Well, I don't. I think we ought to stay.
No, Tony.
What?
We were fools to ever think it could work. It won't. Mr. Kirby, I won't be in the office tomorrow. In fact, I won't be there at all anymore.
Alice, what are you talking about?
I'm very sorry to hear that, my dear. Very sorry. Are you ready, Miriam?
Yes, Anthony.
You mustn't mind this.
It's been very nice to have met you all.
Yes, lovely.
Are you coming, Tony?
No, Father, I'm not.
I see. Your mother and I will be waiting for you at home. Good night.
Good night.
Stay right where you are, everyone. Don't move.
Oh, good heavens!
How dare you? What does this mean?
What is all this?
I demand an explanation.
Keep your mouth shut, you. Which one is it?
This is him.
Hey, what are you doing?
What?
Why? What do you mean?
Grandpa, what is it?
This is an outrage.
Shut up. What's your name?
Edward Carmichael, I haven't done anything.
You haven't, huh?
This all seems rather high-handed to me. What's it all about?
Department of Justice.
Oh my goodness, J-Men!
Do they know who we
what
are?
have you done?
I haven't done anything. What's the boy done, officer?
What is this? What's it about?
That door lead to the cellar?
Yes, it does.
Yes?
Mac.
I'm on it.
Jim.
Yes, sir.
Take a look upstairs and see what you find.
I'm on it.
I haven't done anything.
Come here, you. Ever seen these before?
They're my circulars.
You print this stuff, huh?
Yes, sir.
You put them in a box as a candy and get into people's homes?
The love dreams?
But I didn't mean anything.
You didn't, huh? Dynamite the Capitol? Dynamite the White House? Dynamite the Supreme Court? God is state and the state is God?
But I didn't mean anything. I just like to print. Don't I, Grandpa?
Now, officer, the government is in no danger from Ed. Printing is his hobby, that's all. He prints anything.
He does, huh?
Oh, I've never heard of such nonsense.
I refuse to stand
Hey, let me
here
get my
and listen
pie,
to
will you?
this nonsense.
Let me get my pie!
Shut up, you. We were right, Chief. They got enough gunpowder to blow up the whole city.
Who will use
Keep
that?
still. Everyone in this house is under arrest.
Arrest? You know who we are. This is
Hey,
outrageous.
bro, let me get my pie, but I left it.
Shut up, all of you!
It seems to me, officer, that...
Shut up!
Shut up, you. Stop that.
Who's that?
Well, that is my mother.
What?
Where's my husband?
For appearance in the West Side Court this morning, after spending the night in jail, the defendants, 13 in all, were given suspended sentences for manufacturing fireworks without a permit.
Yeah, kept me in the same cell with a stripteaser from a burlesque show.
I was in the cell with Mr. Kirby. He was mad.
Miss Kirby and the stripteaser, they were fighting all night.
Whole lot about Mr. Kirby here. Anthony W. Kirby, head of Kirby & Company, 62 Wall Street, who was among those apprehended, declared he was in no way interested in the manufacture of fireworks, but refused to state why he was on the premises at the time of the raid. Mr. Kirby is a member of the Union Club, the Racket Club, the Harvard Club, and the National Geographic Society. My, he certainly is a joiner.
All them rich men are elks or something.
I suppose after all this, Mr. Tony ain't ever going to marry Miss Alice, huh?
No, sir, and it's too bad, too. Miss Alice sure loves that boy.
Ever notice how rich folks are always getting themselves in trouble?
Yes, sir. I'm glad I'm poor.
Me too.
I don't know what I'm going to do with all that food out in the kitchen. Ain't going to be no party tonight, that's sure.
Well, ain't we going to eat it anyhow?
Well, I'm cooking it, but I don't think anybody going to have an appetite.
I'm hungry.
Well, they ain't. They're all so broke up about Miss Alice.
Well, what's she want to go away for? Where's she going?
I don't know. Mountain someplace? And she's going all right. I know Miss Alice when she gets that look in her eye.
Everything's
bad,
burnt
ain't
up down there, look.
How's your hand, Mr. DePinna? Better?
Yes, it's better. Is there any more of that olive oil out there?
It's in the salad bowl.
Thanks.
Well, she's going. Nothing anybody said could change her.
She isn't going to stay away long. Is she, Miss Sycamore?
I don't know, Reba. She won't say.
My, going to be lonesome around here without her.
How do you feel, Miss Sycamore?
Oh, I'm all right, Donald. Just kind of upset. But perhaps if I do some work, maybe I'll feel better.
Well, I won't bother you any longer, Miss Sycamore.
She's going, Penny.
Yes.
Now, Penny.
But I can't help it, Paul. Somehow I feel it's all our fault.
It's mine more than yours. All these years I've been going along, enjoying myself, when maybe I should have been thinking more about Alice.
Don't say that, Paul. You've been a wonderful father and husband, too.
No, I haven't. Maybe if I'd gone ahead and been an architect. I don't know. Something else could have been proud of. I felt that all last night looking at Mr. Kirby.
But we've been so happy, Paul.
I know. But maybe that's not enough anymore. I used to think it was, but I'm kind of all mixed up now.
What time is she going?
Pretty soon. Train leaves 7:30.
Oh, if only she'd talk to Tony. I'm sure he could persuade her.
But she won't. He's been trying all day.
Where is he now?
I don't know. Probably walking around the block again.
Well, maybe he can catch her as she's leaving.
It won't help, Penny.
No, I don't suppose so. But I feel so sorry for Tony, too. Well, Grandpa?
Now, Penny, let the girl alone.
But Grandpa!
Suppose she goes to the Adirondacks. She'll be back. You can take just so much Adirondacks, and then you come home.
But it's also terrible, Grandpa!
Well, yes, but it has its bright side, too.
How do you mean?
Well, Mr. Kirby getting into the patrol wagon for one, and the expression on his face when he and Donald had to take a bath together. I'll never forget that if I live to be 100. And I warn you people, I intend to, if I can have stuff like that going on.
Oh, it was even worse with Mrs. Kirby. When the matron stripped her, there was a burlesque dancer in there, and she kept singing a strip song while Mrs. Kirby undressed.
I'll bet you Bar Harbor is going to seem pretty dull to the Kirbys this summer. Need any help, Alice?
Oh, no thanks, Grandpa. I'm just gonna press this.
Alice, dear.
Now, Penny.
I'll bring the big bag down as soon as you're ready, Miss Alice.
Thank you.
Would you like to take some candy along for the train, Alice?
Thanks, Essie.
Really, Alice, you could be just as alone here as you could in the mountains. You could stay up in your room all the time.
Oh, no, Mother. I need to go away for a while. Away from everyone. I'll be all right. Father, did you phone for a cab?
No, I didn't know you wanted one.
Oh, I told Mr. DePinna to tell you, Paul. Didn't he tell you?
Oh, he told me, but I forgot.
Oh, I wish I lived in a family that didn't always forget everything all the time, that behaved the way other people's families do. I'm sick of cornflakes and Donald and everything. I wish we behaved like other people's families with roast beef and 2 green vegetables and doilies on the table, a place you can bring your friends home without.
I'll see if I can do anything. Alice?
Oh, Tony, talk to her. She's in the kitchen.
Thank you. Alice, will you let me talk to you, please?
No, Tony, it's no use.
Alice, you're not being fair. At least let me talk to you.
No.
Where'd they go?
Upstairs.
She walked right out the minute he came in.
Not the olive oil, right on my hand. Now I'm going to smell kind of fishy.
How are you feeling, Mr. DePinna? Hand still hurting you?
No, it's better.
Everything burnt up, huh? Downstairs?
Everything in my Roman costume, too.
I told you there was a bright side to everything. Well, except my 23 years back income tax.
Say, what are you going to do about that, Grandpa?
Well, I had a kind of idea about it yesterday. It might not work, but I'm going to try it anyway.
What is it?
Good evening, everybody.
Hello, Mr. Klinkhoff.
Good evening.
Forgive me, the door was open.
Come on in.
You will excuse my coming here today. I realize you are upset.
That's all right, Mr. Klinkhoff.
I don't know if I can take it less than Klinkhoff. I don't feel up to it.
Oh, well, good.
Oh, but do stay to dinner, Mr. Klinkhoff. We've got all that food in there, and somebody's got to eat it.
I will be happy to, Madam Sycamore.
Fine.
Thank you. Now, I wonder if I know you all well enough to ask of you a great favor.
Why, of course, Mr. Klinkhoff. What is it?
You have heard me talk about my friend, the Grand Duchess Olga Katrina.
Yes?
She is a great woman. Her cousin was the Tsar of Russia. Today she is waitress in Child's Restaurant, Times Square.
Yes, I know. If there's anything at all we can do.
Well, I tell you, the Grand Duchess Olga Katrina has not had a good meal since before the revolution.
She must be hungry.
And today not only happens to be her day off, Thursday, but it is also the anniversary of Peter the Great, a remarkable man.
Why, Mr. Klinkhoff, if you mean you'd like the Grand Duchess to stay to dinner, why, we'd be honored.
Oh, yes.
In the name of the Grand Duchess, I thank you.
Oh, I can't wait to meet her. Where is she now?
She is outside in the street waiting. I bring her in now.
Ed, straighten your tie. Essie, your dress. And how do I look? All right?
If this keeps up, I wish to live to be 150.
The Grand Duchess Olga Katrina. Your Highness, permit me to present Madam Sycamore, Madam Carmichael, Grandpa. Mr. Sycamore, Mr. Carmichael, and Mr. DePina.
All right now, Mr.
Will you be
DePina.
seated, Your Highness?
Thank you. You are most kind.
We are most honored to receive you, Your Highness.
I am most happy to be here. How soon is dinner?
Oh, it'll be quite soon, Your Highness. Very soon.
I do not mean to be rude, but I must be back at the restaurant by 8 o'clock. I am substituting for another waitress.
I will make sure you are on time, Your Highness.
Thank you, Klinkov.
Hey, Your Highness, I think you waited at me once. Charles Restaurant, 72nd Street Place?
No, that was my sister.
The Grand Duchess Natasha.
Oh.
I work in Times Square.
Quite a lot of your folks living over here now, aren't there?
Oh, yes, many. My uncle, the Grand Duke Sergei, he is an elevator man at Macy's. A very nice man. Then there's my cousin, Prince Alexis. He will not speak to the rest of us because he works at Hattie Carnegie. He is in ladies' underwear.
When he was at Coney Island, he was willing to talk with you.
Ah, Klinkov, our time is coming. My sister Natasha is studying to be a manicurist. Uncle Sergei, they have promised to make Vorwacker, and next month I get transferred to the 5th Avenue Childs. From there, it is only a step to Shafts.
I think you've got him.
And then we will see what Prince Alexis says.
Your Highness, did you know the Tsar? Personally, I mean.
Of course, he was my cousin. It was terrible what happened, but perhaps it was for the best. Where could he get a job now?
Pravda, that is true.
And poor relations are poor relations. It is the same in every family. My cousin, the King of Sweden, he was very nice to us for about 10 years. Every once in a while, he would send a money order, but then he said, I just cannot go on. I am not doing so well myself. I do not blame him.
No, of course not. Will you excuse me for a moment?
Hey, Duchess, is it true what they say about Rasputin?
Everyone wants to know about Rasputin. Yes, my dear sir, it is true. And how?
You don't say.
Now, Your Highness, we must watch the time.
Yes, I must not be late. The manager does not like me. He is a communist.
We'll hurry things up. Essie, why don't you go into the kitchen and see if you can help Reba?
I will help too. I am a very good cook.
Oh, but Your Highness, not on your day off.
I do not mind. Where is your kitchen?
Right through here, but you're the guest of honor, Your Highness.
But I love to cook. Come, Klinkov. If they have got sour cream and pot cheese, I will make you some blintzes.
Oh, blintzes. Come, Pavlova, we show you something.
Hey, the Duchess is all right, isn't she? Hey, Duchess, may I help?
Gee, she's got a wonderful face for a mask.
Oh, she really is a nice woman, considering she's a Grand Duchess.
Wonderful what some people go through, isn't it? And still keep kind of gay, too.
Mm-hmm. She made me forget about everything there for a minute.
Well, I suppose I better call that cab.
No, wait, Paul. Here they are. Maybe Tony has...
Ed, will you please go up and bring my bag down?
Don't you do it, Ed.
Ed, please.
All right, Ed. You can bring him down. You know, you have the stubbornest daughter in all 48 states.
That must be the cab.
If it is, it's certainly wonderful service.
Is Tony here, Alice?
Why, yes. Yes, he is, Mr. Kirby. Come right in.
How do you do?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Forgive my intruding. Tony, I want you to come home with me. Your mother is very upset.
Very well, Father. Goodbye, Alice.
Goodbye, Tony.
I need hardly say that this is as painful to Mrs. Kirby and myself as it is to you people. I'm sorry, but I'm sure you understand.
Well, yes. And in a way, no. Now, I'm not the kind of person that tries to run other people's lives, but the fact of the matter is, Mr. Kirby, I don't think these two young people have as much sense as you and I have.
Grandpa, will you please not do this?
I'm just talking to Mr. Kirby. A cat can look at a king, can't he?
You want me to do that for you, Alice?
No, thanks, Mother.
We've got quite a while before the train leaves, Alice.
Could you send a cab, 761 Claremont Street, right away? Yes. Thank you.
Alice.
Oh, Father.
Are you ready, Tony?
Now, Mr. Kirby, I suppose after last night, you think this family is kind of crazy.
No, I would not say that. Although I am not accustomed to going out to dinner and spending the night in jail.
Well, you've got to remember that you came on the wrong night. Now, tonight, I'm sure nothing will happen at all. Maybe.
Mr. Vanderhoff, it was not merely last night that convinced Mrs. Kirby and myself that this engagement would be unwise.
Father, I can handle my own affairs. Alice, for the last time, will you marry me?
No, Tony. I know just what your father means, and he's right.
No, he's not.
Now, Alice, you're in love with this boy, and you're not marrying him because we're the kind of people we are.
Grandpa.
I know. You think the two families wouldn't get along. Well, maybe they wouldn't. But who's to say they're right and we're wrong?
I didn't say that, Grandpa. It's just that I feel
Yes,
that...
but what I feel is that Tony is too nice a boy to wake up 20 years from now with nothing in his life but stocks and bonds.
How's that?
Yes. Mixed up and unhappy. The way you are.
I beg your pardon, Mr. Vanderhoff. I'm a very happy man.
Are you?
Certainly I am.
I don't think so. What do you think you get your indigestion from? Happiness? No, sir. You get it because most of your time is spent in doing things you don't want to do.
I don't do anything I don't want to do.
Yes, you do. You said last night that after a week in Wall Street, you are pretty near crazy. Why do you keep on doing it?
Why do I keep on? Why, that's my business. A man can't give up his business.
And why not? You've got all the money you need. You can't take it with you.
It's a very easy thing to say, Mr. Vanderhoff, but I've spent my entire life building up my business.
And what's it gotten you? Same kind of mail every morning, same kind of meetings, same kind of deals, same dinners at night, same indigestion. Where does the fun come in? Don't you think there ought to be something more, Mr. Kirby? I mean, you must have wanted more than that when you started out. We haven't got too much time, you know. Any of us.
Well, what do you expect me to do? Live the way you do? Do nothing?
Well, I have plenty of fun. Time enough for everything. Read, talk, visit the zoo now and then, practice my darts, even have time to notice when spring comes around. Don't see anybody I don't want to. Don't have 6 hours of things I have to do before I get 1 hour to do what I like in. And I haven't taken bicarbonate of soda in 35 years. Now what is the matter with that?
The matter with that? Why, suppose we all did it. A fine world we'd have. Everybody going to zoos. Don't be ridiculous, Mr. Vanderhoff. Who would do the work?
Oh, there's always people that like to work. You can't stop them. Inventions, and they fly the ocean. There's always people to go down to Wall Street, too, because they like it. But from what I've seen of you, Mr. Kirby, I don't think you're one of them. I think you're missing something.
I am not aware of missing anything.
I wasn't either, until I quit. Used to get down to that office at 9 o'clock sharp no matter how I felt. Used to lay awake nights for fear I wouldn't get that contract. Used to worry about the world, too. Got all worked up about whether Cleveland or Blaine was going to be elected president. Seemed awful important at the time. But now, who cares? What I'm trying to say, Mr. Kirby, is that I've had 35 years that no one can take away from me, no matter what they do to the world. See?
Yes, I do see. It's a very dangerous philosophy, Mr. Vanderhoff. It's un-American, and it's exactly why I'm opposed to this marriage. I don't want Tony to come under its influence.
What's the matter with it, Father?
The matter with it? Why, it's downright communism. That's what it is.
You didn't always think so.
I most certainly did. What are you talking about?
I'll tell you what I'm talking about. You didn't always think so because there was a time where you wanted to be a trapeze artist.
Why, Tony, don't be an idiot.
Oh, yes, you did. I came across those letters you wrote to Grandfather. Do you remember those?
How dared you read those letters? How dared you?
Why, that's wonderful, Mr. Kirby. Did you wear tights?
Certainly not. The whole thing is absurd. I was 14 years old at the time.
Yes, but at 18, you wanted to be a saxophone player.
Tony?
And at 21, you ran away from home because Grandfather wanted you to go into the business. It's all down there in black and white. You didn't always think so.
Well, well, well.
I may have had silly notions in my youth, but thank goodness my father knocked them out of me. I went into the business and forgot all about them.
Not altogether, Father. There's still a saxophone in the back of your clothes closet.
There is.
Tony? we'll discuss this later.
No, I want to talk about it now. I think Mr. Vanderhoff is right, dead right. And I'm never going back to that office. I've always hated it. And I'll tell you something else. I didn't make a mistake last night. I brought you here on purpose.
Tony! Oh, for heaven's sake!
Because I wanted to wake you up. I wanted to show you a family as they really were. A family that loved and understood each other. You've never understood me. You've never had the time. Well, I'm not making the same mistake as you. I'm clearing out.
Clearing out? What do you mean?
I mean, I'm not going to be pushed into the business just because I'm your son. I'm getting out while there's still time.
But Tony, what are you going to do?
I don't know. Maybe I'll be a bricklayer. But at least I'll be doing something that I want to do.
Oh, that must be the cab.
Ask him to wait a minute, Ed.
Grandpa?
You mind, Alice? You know, Mr. Kirby, I think Tony is going through just what you and I did when we were his age. I think if you listen hard enough, you can hear yourself saying the same thing to your father 25 years ago. We all did it, and we were right. How many of us would be willing to settle when we are young for what we eventually get? All those plans we make, what happens to them? It's only a handful of the lucky few that can look back and say they even came close. So, before they clean out that closet, Mr. Kirby, I think I'd get in a few good hours on that saxophone.
I beg your pardon, but before I make the blintzes, how many will there be for dinner?
Your Highness, may I present Mr. Anthony Kirby and Mr. Kirby Jr., the Grand Duchess, Olga Katrina.
How's that?
How do you do? Before I make the blintzes, how many will there be for dinner?
Oh, I'd make quite a stack of them, Your Highness. Can't ever tell.
Good. The Tsar always said to me, Olga, do not be stingy with the blintzes.
Who did you say that was again, Mr. Vanderhoff?
Oh, the Grand Duchess, Olga Katrina. She's cooking the dinner.
Oh.
And speaking of dinner, Mr. Kirby, why don't you and Tony both stay?
Oh, please do, Mr. Kirby. We've got all that food in there that we were going to have last night. I mean tonight.
Looks like a nice dinner, and it'll kind of give us a chance to get acquainted, don't you think?
How about it, Father? Are we staying to dinner?
Why, if you'd care to, Tony, I'd like to, very much.
Now, if Alice will send away that cab, Mr. Vanderhoff.
How about it, Alice? Going to be quite a crowd. Don't you think you ought to stay for dinner?
I'm staying, Alice. The two families ought to get to know each other, don't you think?
Mr. Kirby. Oh, Tony.
Darling.
Grandpa, you're wonderful.
I've been telling you that for years.
Grandpa, here's a letter for you. It was in the icebox.
Let me see it. Oh, the government again.
How do you do, Mr. Kirby?
How do you
Now,
do?
Miss Sycamore, if you'll step into my office, I've got a little dictating I'd like to do.
I'd better tell the cab.
Well, well, well.
What is it, Grandpa?
The government apologizes. I don't owe them a nickel. It seems I died 8 years ago.
Why? What do they mean, Grandpa?
Remember Charlie, the milkman, buried under my name?
Yes.
Well, I just told them that they made a mistake and that I was Martin Vanderhoff, Jr. So, they are very sorry, and I may even get a refund.
Why, Grandpa, you're an old crook.
Oh, sure.
How did you say you escaped the income tax again, Mr. Vanderhoff?
So,
Tonight, my friends, you are going to eat.
Hello there.
How do you do?
Fine, fine. I'm glad to see you.
What has happened?
he's relaxing. Oh, that's right. Play something, Ed.
All right.
Everything will be ready in a minute. You can sit down now.
Come on, everybody. Dinner's ready. Come on, Mr. Kirby. Essie, stop dancing and come to dinner. Oh, but you must be careful of your indigestion, Mr. Kirby.
Oh, nonsense. I haven't any indigestion.
In Russia, when they sit down to dinner.
Quiet, everybody, quiet. Well, sir, here we are again. Things seem to be going along fine. We'd like to thank you once more for everything you've done for us. Alice is going to marry Tony, and it looks as if they are going to be very happy. Of course, the fireworks blew up, but that was Mr. DePina's fault, not yours. We have our health, and as far as anything else is concerned, we'll leave that up to you. Thank you.
Grandpa, I've heard
Happy roast goose for dinner, Mr. Kirby. Do you like roast goose?
Well, here goes the Adirondacks.
And a very good thing, too.